I think high net worth individuals, people that are worth 100 million plus or have massive portfolios of public and private equity, have massive portfolios of real estate, have massive portfolios of fixed income. I don't think these people will experience the same sense of missing out that typical retail participants experience when they hear about Bitcoin. I think that these ultra wealthy individuals, even corporations or any sort of entity that has a large amount of wealth on their balance sheet, they are going to come to understand Bitcoin from a different perspective. And I think the perspective that they're going to come from is they're going to begin to recognize that they're using a flawed accounting tool. The dollar, which is effectively the world reserve currency today, is by design debasing against basic consumer goods. And, these basic consumer goods are goods that are made in China, that are manufactured over and over again, and they're becoming more efficient at doing that. They're becoming more productive at doing that. These factories could exist in China, it could exist in Mexico, it could exist in America. Technology is naturally deflationary, especially for very basic consumer goods. And the dollar is effectively just a unit of account that's tied to consumer goods. And on top of the consumer goods, which are getting more and more abundant and easier to produce over time, the dollar is losing value against those goods. And so I think more and more people are simply just going to recognize that, wait a second, I'm measuring my wealth in the wrong unit. This unit it worked well for the last 50, 100 years, but it's not sufficient today. And I think what's going to happen is a lot of these high net worth individuals will panic once they realize their assets are actually rapidly depreciating in Bitcoin terms, which is actually immutably scarce money. It's not money that is designed to debase over time against basic consumer goods. Bitcoin is the one money that cannot get debased. It's immutable. You can't change the supply schedule of Bitcoin. And I think this whole concept is pretty important because it's one idea to miss out on 100x return when you have very little wealth to begin with, which is 99.9% of the world. But when you have significant amount of wealth, you're not necessarily looking for the next 100x, or it's not going to make that much of a difference for you. If you have $100 million and you put, $1 million into a 100x investment, congrats, now you have 200 million. That's great. And, and high net worth individuals, of course, are looking at opportunities like that, whether it's like venture capital or all sorts of different things, or private equity or anything that's highly leveraged and has a lot of asymmetric upside. They're looking for opportunities like that, but a large majority of their portfolio is just looking to kind of keep what they have, and not lose wealth. And so I think this shift is going to come to where they actually do recognize they're losing wealth. They'll see that their net worth will drop from 1,000 Bitcoin to 100 Bitcoin. And they'll be very concerned with that because they'll recognize that, wait a second, it's easy to make a bunch of things go up in dollar terms. In fact, water bottles and plastic goods that are incredibly easily made, those are going up in value. So of course my real estate is going to go up in value. Of course my private equity is going to go up in value. Of course my S&P 500 is going to go up in value. But the real test, or the real way to measure your wealth, is with money that doesn't get debased, money that can't get debased. And I think people are going to recognize that. And when they do, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough Bitcoin. I'm losing wealth. My wealth is melting in Bitcoin terms. And I think over the next 5 to 10 years, this trend is not just going to continue, but it might actually accelerate, because we're very early in the monetization phase of Bitcoin. Less than 1% of the world has a serious Bitcoin allocation. 93% or more of all the Bitcoin have already been mined. And this is all, it happens in waves. And the next wave could be pretty significant if people do begin to recognize when Bitcoin rips from 50,000 to 100,000 to 200,000. It's not necessarily that you're getting rich, even though your wealth is growing by buying Bitcoin, but it's also the reality that your other assets are rapidly depreciating in Bitcoin terms. And if Bitcoin is the best form of money, then your wealth is quite literally melting. So yeah, that's my thought today. I wrote a report about this actually recently. It's titled "Your Wealth is Melting." You can check it out at unchained.com/melting. But thanks for watching, everybody, and see you next time.